4:47 p.m. A deafening screech, a child's whimper drowned out by roaring traffic. Keanu Reeves slammed his motorcycle to a halt on Boulder Highway's desolate stretch, not for fame, but to rescue Ethan, a trembling 6-year-old fleeing a predator's black sedan. "A man tried to take me," the boy whispered. In that moment, Keanu faced a choice: drive on or risk everything. But the real terror had just begun.
Fresh from a children's charity event in Las Vegas, Keanu took Boulder Highway to escape the city's neon rush. He wore a simple jacket and jeans, steering his vintage Norton Commando 750 through the late afternoon light. He hoped to clear his mind, away from paparazzi and crowded streets. But then he saw something impossible to ignore: a boy, maybe 6 years old, riding a small red bicycle on the highway's shoulder. No adult trailed behind, no car with hazard lights waiting nearby. Just the child, pedaling alone, eyes darting nervously at the traffic roaring past. Keanu's pulse pounded. Something wasn't right. He slowed to a stop, pulling onto the shoulder. Trucks and sedans zoomed by, but no one else even tapped their brakes. Removing his helmet, Keanu approached cautiously, arms raised in reassurance. "Hey, little guy, are you okay?" he asked, voice gentle. The child froze, clutching the handlebars as if they might vanish. His big, fearful eyes searched Keanu's face, unsure whether the stranger was friend or foe. Tears welled up, and soon the boy was sobbing uncontrollably. Between shaky breaths, he managed his name: Ethan. Keanu felt a knot tighten in his stomach. A kid this young shouldn't be anywhere near a highway alone. Softly, he pressed, "Where are your parents? Did you get lost?" Then Ethan whispered 7 words that would haunt Keanu. "A man in a black car tried to take me." Keanu's breath caught. Child abduction wasn't just a headline. It was unfolding right in front of him. He scanned the passing traffic, each dark-colored vehicle making adrenaline spike. Was the predator still circling, hoping for a second chance? Ethan sniffled, wiping his eyes with a grubby hand. "He told me to get in. I rode away." Keanu's heart pounded with protective urgency. "We need to get you somewhere safe right now." Ethan hesitated, then nodded, relieved to have a grown-up's help. Carefully, Keanu lifted him onto the back of the motorcycle. "Hold on to me tight," he urged. The engine growled, and they merged back onto Boulder Highway, searching for sanctuary and a phone. The sun dipped lower, painting the desert sky with streaks of pink and orange. With every mile, Keanu kept glancing at his mirrors, half expecting a dark sedan to appear. Was he being followed? The tension felt relentless. At last, he spotted a small gas station, its flickering neon sign a beacon of hope. As they pulled in, Ethan's grip on Keanu's jacket relaxed slightly, but the boy's eyes still darted around the parking lot, as if expecting the black car to materialize at any moment. Keanu guided Ethan inside. Under harsh fluorescent lights, the cashier did a double take. Was that really Keanu Reeves? But there was no time for celebrity chatter. Keanu dialed 911, voice calm yet urgent, explaining Ethan's desperate plight. The dispatcher recognized the name immediately, Keanu Reeves, but he brushed that aside. "A kid's in danger," he insisted. "We need help." Police units were dispatched, sirens slicing through the evening air not long after. Ethan cradled a juice box, cheeks still stained with tears. He flinched whenever a car engine revved outside. Seeing a child that frightened crystallized for Keanu just how monstrous the situation was. Then, headlights danced across the store windows. A black car rumbled past, sending Ethan's heart into his throat. Keanu's muscles tensed. Was this the predator, brazen enough to return? Ethan couldn't confirm, but his trembling suggested he suspected it. Seconds felt like hours. Then, red and blue lights illuminated the station as a squad car pulled in. 2 officers stepped out. One knelt by Ethan, gently coaxing details out of him. The other asked Keanu to recount everything: the near abduction, the highway confrontation, the suspicious black car that just passed. Their expressions grew grave. "We've had scattered reports of a car like that, approaching kids, but nothing concrete Soon, a frantic woman rushed inside. "Ethan!" she cried, tears overflowing. It was Megan, his mother. She scooped Ethan into her arms, sobbing with relief. He clung to her, quiet now, but visibly shaken. She looked up at Keanu, voice shaking. "I can't thank you enough. I don't want to think about what could have happened." Keanu nodded, humility overshadowing any notion of celebrity. "He's a brave kid. He did the right thing by running away." Ethan's quiet sobbing resumed, this time out of sheer relief. The police took Megan's information, promising to patrol the area and investigate further. For a moment, it felt like the worst had passed. But real life rarely wraps up so neatly. With Ethan safe in his mother's car, Keanu stood outside the gas station. The day's events whirled in his head. Instinct told him this wasn't over. A predator bold enough to snatch a child in broad daylight might not back down easily. As he prepared to leave, his phone buzzed, an unknown number. He hesitated, then answered. Megan's voice trembled on the other end. I recognized that black car. It's passed my house a few times before. I thought it was just coincidence, but now. Keanu's stomach twisted. This wasn't just a random stranger driving through Las Vegas. Call the police, he urged. Tell them everything. They need every detail you can remember. By the next morning, headlines blared. Keanu Reeves rescues child from attempted abduction. Social media exploded with praise, commentary, and conspiracy theories about the infamous black car. But for Keanu, it wasn't about the buzz. He wanted to ensure no other kid got targeted. He stayed in touch with Megan, who confirmed the police were asking neighbors if they'd seen any suspicious vehicles. Some had fleeting stories, an odd car idling on the corner, tinted windows, out-of-state plates. Yet nothing definitive emerged. Amid the chaos, Keanu decided to harness the publicity for a greater good. He helped launch a neighborhood watch initiative and child safety campaign. If a spotlight was on him, why not shine it on protecting kids? It started as a modest meeting of a few parents, local volunteers, and a couple of officers in a community center. Word spread, and soon dozens showed up. Mothers, fathers, grandparents, all fearful that the black car might lurk around the next corner. They discussed how to teach children about stranger danger, how to spot suspicious behavior, and the importance of immediate reporting. Keanu offered to cover printing costs for flyers and pamphlets. Schools jumped on board, inviting local officers to demonstrate safety drills. Ethan became a quiet star of the movement, sometimes standing next to Keanu while parents asked questions. He was timid, but every time he told his story, it reinforced how quickly an ordinary day could spiral into terror. Before we delve further, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. This real-life drama only gets more shocking, and the man in the black car could be closer than anyone imagined. Have you ever had a close call like Ethan's? Share your experience in the comments. Your insight might help another family stay safe. A week later, Megan's nerves were frayed. She kept a sharp watch through her curtains. One evening, she called Keanu, voice hushed with fear. I saw it again, parked across the street, watching my house. Her pulse raced as she peeked outside. The moment she went to grab her phone, the car vanished. Keanu immediately relayed this to the police. They canvassed the neighborhood, searching for any car matching Megan's description. Residents reported multiple sightings of a black sedan creeping past local schools and playgrounds. Though no second abduction attempt was confirmed, tension skyrocketed. Parents walked their kids to and from school. Teenagers were told not to roam alone after dark. Rumors fed the neighborhood's anxiety. Some believed it was a ring of traffickers. Others thought it could be a single disturbed individual. Suspicion fell on anyone with a black car. Tip lines buzzed with frantic calls. Still, police found no smoking gun. Keanu visited Megan's home often, checking on Ethan's well-being. The boy was quieter than before, though he tried to appear brave. He clutched a small stuffed dinosaur, claiming it made him feel safe. Each time Keanu arrived, he'd reassure Ethan, "We're gonna make sure you're never in danger again." Then reports surfaced of a teenage girl who claimed a black sedan trailed her for several blocks after she left a friend's house. She panicked, ducking into a convenience store until the car sped away. The partial license plate, she noted, matched fragments from Megan's memory. This was no coincidence. Suddenly, the police had a lead. They cross-referenced registrations and zeroed in on a man living just blocks from Ethan's family. Officers questioned him. Neighbors watched, hearts pounding, as a squad car parked outside his home. But without hard evidence, like dashcam footage or an eyewitness ID, they couldn't arrest him. Tension soared. Was this the predator or a scapegoat? In the face of uncertainty, the neighborhood tightened its ranks. Volunteers patrolled during peak times, morning school runs, and late afternoons when kids biked around. Porch lights stayed on longer. Groups of parents roamed the sidewalks, exchanging watchful glances with passing cars. Keanu donated safety whistles for kids, so they could alert adults in an instant. He also funded a series of workshops with local law enforcement. Experts taught children what to do if someone tried to lure them into a vehicle: run, yell, find a trusted adult. At one event in a church hall, Ethan mustered the courage to step up and share his story again. Standing beside Keanu, the small boy squeaked out, "I was scared, but I kept pedaling. Don't ever talk to strangers." Parents applauded, some wiping tears at the raw honesty of a child who'd barely avoided a nightmare. Late at night, Keanu replayed the moment he spotted Ethan on that desert highway. He wondered how many drivers had sped past without noticing the child's tears. The thought gnawed at him. Had life become so rushed that people ignored what was right in front of them? In interviews, he brushed aside the word hero, insisting he just happened to be there. "Heroism isn't about fame," he once said. "It's about stopping when others won't. Anyone could have done what I did." Though no official arrest was made, police presence in the area was intense. Patrol cars circled the blocks, officers walked the sidewalks, and unmarked vehicles lingered near schools. Megan felt marginally safer, but admitted the anxiety never truly left. She triple-checked doors and windows each night, ensuring Ethan was never out of sight. A few neighbors claimed the man questioned by police had abruptly moved. Others said he was still around but kept a low profile. Rumors spun in every direction. Real life rarely offers that cinematic scene where the villain is cornered and confesses everything. Sometimes predators just slip away once too many eyes are watching. Despite the lingering uncertainty, Ethan's spirit rebounded. He eventually rode his bike again, this time with bright reflective tape and a small horn to honk if he ever felt threatened. He told Keanu he wanted to show other kids it was okay to keep living, not just hide indoors. "I'm still gonna play," he declared. Megan, though apprehensive, supported his cautious steps toward normalcy. Thanks to the child safety campaign, children began recognizing the warning signs of stranger danger. Parents swapped stories on social media about how they'd intervene if they saw a kid in trouble. Local schools adopted new check-in protocols. A community that once felt indifferent about each other's routines was now united by vigilance. The man in the black car still lurked in the back of everyone's mind. Could he strike again? Would the police corner him, or was he already gone? If you want to hear how this all ends, stick around. And remember to subscribe if you haven't yet. One click could ensure more people learn these vital lessons and keep children safe in their own neighborhoods. Keanu's involvement brought media attention, but the real heroes were the parents who turned fear into action. Block captains coordinated schedules, ensuring no child walked home alone. Teachers introduced brief safety lessons, and local officers demonstrated self-defense basics at PTA meetings. Some criticized the heightened vigilance as paranoia, but most believed it was better to be safe than sorry. In many ways, this watchfulness deterred any further attempts. The community had become a fortress of alert neighbors and protective adults. Ethan's ordeal served as a lightning rod, sparking an entire movement. No one wanted to see another child nearly abducted on their watch. Weeks later, sporadic sightings of a black sedan surfaced across town. A father at a local park claimed a tinted window vehicle was loitering near the playground. By the time he reported it, the car had fled. Police found no trace. Some believed the suspect had grown bolder, expanding his search to new territories. Others argued it was a case of mass hysteria. Every black car became the black car. The truth remained elusive. Fear laced every rumor, but vigilance persisted. At a culminating event for the child safety campaign, Ethan took the microphone one last time. By now, he'd recounted the story so often, you could see a subtle confidence flicker in his eyes. "If a stranger tries to grab you, run," he told a crowd of wide-eyed kids. "Even if you're scared, don't stop to think. Yell for help." Keanu smiled, standing off to the side, watching how one small boy's crisis transformed him into a beacon for others. The applause was thunderous. In that moment, Ethan wasn't just a victim. He was a survivor teaching others how to be strong. Once the event ended, Megan and Ethan found a quiet corner with Keanu. Tears glistened in Megan's eyes. "I still wake up at night picturing him on that highway." She took Keanu's hand. "What if you'd driven by a minute earlier or later? Would anyone else have stopped? You saved my son's life." Keanu, ever humble, shook his head. "He saved himself by running. I just happened to see him." But he accepted her gratitude, knowing full well how close Ethan had come to tragedy. Police never made an official arrest. The rumored suspect either skipped town or learned to hide better. Nevertheless, the rates of suspicious incidents plummeted. Perhaps the height of the predator underground, or perhaps the community's unwavering watchfulness had destroyed his hunting ground altogether. Still, the mystery remained. Was he out there, biding his time, or had he disappeared for good? People often crave neat storybook endings, but real life rarely provides them. Families moved forward, determined yet cautious. Children grew older, a little wiser. The memory of the black car lingered like a cautionary tale. News networks clamored for interviews, itching for sensational details. Keanu remained composed, focusing on the broader lesson: pay attention. If something feels wrong, stop, ask questions, call for help. Kids deserve to grow up without predators lurking in the shadows. Social media hailed him a hero. He dismissed the label, insisting that any caring adult would have done the same. Quietly, he continued to fund awareness materials and support local charities. Fame could be fleeting, but the protective spirit of a community, that was lasting. Megan and Ethan's neighborhood became a model for grassroots vigilance. Streets that once felt unremarkable were now dotted with yard signs reading, "We watch out for each other." Parents formed texting groups to check in whenever they noticed unfamiliar cars or strangers loitering. Routine soccer matches and neighborhood picnics gained new depth, with a collective sense of guardianship. Ethan gradually embraced a normal childhood again, albeit one shaped by an early brush with evil. He rode his new bike with a friend or two, always in broad daylight. When neighbors recognized him, they gave reassuring smiles. He was more than a cautionary figure. He was a sign that danger can be confronted and overcome. Keanu sometimes passed that old gas station on Boulder Highway, the scene etched into his memory. It looked unremarkable, faded signs, dusty pumps, a flickering overhead light. Yet, it was there that a desperate child had found safety, and a Hollywood star discovered a calling far beyond the screen. He'd glance at the shoulder of the highway, recalling the exact spot where Ethan had broken down in tears. How easily the moment could have gone unnoticed. How crucial it was that he decided to slow down, ask a simple question, and change a boy's destiny. Over time, Ethan blossomed into a spunky kid. He laughed more, enjoyed movie nights with his mom, and even teased her for being overly protective. Still, he never forgot that day. If anything, it ingrained in him a resolve to be watchful, not just for himself but for other kids too. In school, he'd speak up if he saw bullying or suspicious behavior, a small champion for those who felt scared. His mother supported this confidence, but also checked in often, ensuring he processed his lingering trauma. Therapy sessions helped him cope with nightmares. Through it all, the community's encouragement bolstered both mother and son. To this day, nobody can say with absolute certainty who was behind the wheel of that black car. No conclusive video footage ever emerged, no license plate was verified in full. The rumored neighbor vanished from the area. Could he have moved to another state, searching for a less guarded community? Or was he never truly the culprit? Such questions linger, but the real impact lies in how people responded. One attempted abduction triggered a wave of vigilance, possibly thwarting further crimes. Fear turned into collaboration, and a tight-knit network sprang up where apathy once reigned. Years later, in a brief interview, Keanu reflected on the event. Sometimes we assume a problem belongs to someone else until it's right in front of us. That day, I couldn't just ride past. Real heroism means interrupting your own life to protect another. Those words resonated, reminding us how quickly a normal routine can transform into a chance to save a life. On the one-year anniversary of Ethan's rescue, the neighborhood held a small gathering at a local park. Families brought potluck dishes, children played in the grass, and the local police chief gave a short speech on community safety. Keanu quietly attended, smiling from the sidelines. When Megan and Ethan stood up to thank everyone for their support, there wasn't a dry eye around. They especially thanked Keanu for his kindness, and the entire crowd erupted into applause. But then Megan said, "We all did this together." That applause doubled. In a world inundated with unsettling stories, it's easy to feel powerless. But a single act of compassion can ripple out, uniting neighbors, raising awareness, and saving untold lives. Ethan's rescue proved that sometimes the smallest moment, a child's tears on a deserted road, can spark monumental change. No, the story doesn't end with a definitive arrest. The villain may lurk elsewhere, but this community remains vigilant, hearts bound by a shared purpose to protect their children. And that sense of unity might be the lasting gift of Ethan's ordeal. What would you do if you saw a frightened child alone on a busy highway? Would you stop or drive on, hoping someone else would intervene? This isn't just a question for celebrities, it's for all of us. If Ethan's story inspires even one person to help a kid in distress, it has served its purpose. If you found this story meaningful, share it. Let friends, neighbors, and family know that awareness can be the difference between tragedy and triumph. Subscribe to our channel for more real-life stories of courage and hope. Comment below if you've ever faced a situation that tested your instinct to help. You never know whose life you might save by speaking up. Keanu's final words ring true. Heroism isn't about fame. It's about stopping when others won't. Thanks for watching, and remember, your vigilance could protect the next Ethan.